Okay, September 9, 2025. I'm only gonna start this video once. That's the goal. So all the fuck ups, all the little things that go wrong, you're staying in. Okay. Today was my Psyche day. What does that mean? That means we read Man and His Symbols, particularly The Process of Individuation by Marie-Louise von Franz. Then, well, I guess specifically this section about the animus within. Being a guy, I have an anima within, but to learn about the animus was interesting. Depending on how I articulate myself, offense could be taken. And so I'm going to be really, really cautious and mindful because that's the kind of world we live in. Is there really anything that's actually worth, like, getting upset about? Like, can I even fuck this up that bad? I feel like I've come into contact with animuses, other people's animus in my own life, and I'm not a psychoanalyst. Okay, bro. Hey. I'm not a psychoanalyst. So you don't have to quote me, but I feel like you can tell when you're dealing with someone's animus or anima, because it's just, there's a quote in here that she says, animus and anima always tend to drag conversation down to a very low level and to produce a disagreeable emotional atmosphere. Okay, I skipped over a word because I don't know how to pronounce it. Irascible emotional atmosphere. So I think does that mean every sort of disagreement you come into is that? I don't know, but I feel like there's a you know when you're dealing with something and when something sounds like it was the first time you read about projection, someone projecting, or you figure out some sort of diagnosis that's just like, oh, yeah, okay, duh. That makes sense. When something becomes tangible in language, explainable, does that mean everything is worth explaining? Maybe the things that can't be explained are A, we just haven't gotten to the point where we have our language can even account for that kind of thing. Or B, we're dealing with the invisible, and nature loves to hide, which is a Heraclitus quote, which was shortened down to that. There was, I believe, a longer version of that, which is all right, I'm gonna find nature loves to hide, but Heraclitus says the real constitution of each thing is accustomed to hide itself, which was, yeah. I've been reading James Hillman's The Dream in the Underworld as well, and I actually, before I get into that, I watched an interview with him. There's like a 50-minute lecture, sort of Q&A between him and I suppose his students, and on changing the object of our desire. man, this is a really, really good lecture, or just video. It's we're like numbing our senses, and I mean it's such like an obvious thing because it's so ingrained in everyday life, but even the first thing that comes to mind is like watching something while you eat. You're not even tasting your taste buds, or not even focus. Okay, Maya, you're not even focusing on the thing that you're eating, or when you drink ice water before your meal, you fucking numb your mouth. That was one of his examples. Or even just listening to music all the time. I mean, music is fucking, it's great. But constantly, it is a form of numbing. And, that's worth knowing. Because then it takes us, and also fucking another thing he said is like living always on the dawn of something is just, what is that? It's, if we look at things with a more sense of finality, as if every decision made or is indeed another movement towards death, especially like decisions concerning like the psyche. So at what point, what is the ultimate end of individuation? One could say it's the self becoming separate from the whole, a whole, but also whole in its own way, and in that sense part of the reintegrate into the greater whole, but in one's fullest potential, if that's what you would want to call it. I don't know, maybe, but in actuality, in finality, maybe not actuality, but in finality, it's death. And in this interview, he talks about sort of the spacing of how we sort of plan our lives out for this next generation, and there's not like a inherent problem with that, but it does really make that future more immediate and less consequential, because if we fuck up, the next generation can sort of just figure it out and sort of fix the mistakes. But he mentioned I don't know if I could call it a motif, but sort of a biblical, I guess there's something about thinking 7 generations ahead. And there's that number 7 again, which is pretty interesting. I mean, 7 steps on to like, what is it, the Philosopher's Stone, and like in alchemy, like from lead to gold. But 7 days in the week, I don't know, it just seems to be like a full cycle. Okay, man. Hey. Sorry, I had to let her out. So, yeah. But in thinking that way, sort of that 7 steps ahead, 7 generations ahead, it becomes the consequences become greater. And now one would imagine that every decision is made with a lot more intention. And also, this emphasis on maintaining youthful beauty and innocence. I guess when this video was filmed back in 2011, a number of Americans said that they wanted to be, if they could be an age forever, they would be like, I think guys said like 16 to 20, give or take a couple years, and women said a little bit older, like 18 to 21 to 22. And I mean, America is sort of this, has always been this sort of younger country, and yet it's not even allowing oneself to age gracefully. It's almost quite ugly. And that's not saying, and I you know, people avoid aging like the plague. It's as if they can't do it gracefully. They look at their wrinkles and their blemishes and shy away from death in hopes to preserve some sort of youthful beauty. I mean, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't really know what to make of it. It feels kind of backwards. So, and you know, I mean, beauty is amazing. It's that first sort of moment of attraction, and it is good, and it is sort of, I suppose, whatever, dude, it's just a lot. Everything's a lot, but to sort of be blind in one's own innocence is, or by innocent, I mean, it's all over the New Testament, this sort of worship of this child. And you know, and this is someone who like grew up as Christian, and I mean, I'm not anymore. I don't really know what I am. I guess if I were to ascribe this one particular idea, it would be sort of how do I unity and oneness, but also, which is a very like Plato kind of thing, but yeah. But I don't know. I guess another sentiment in this video was that Hillman believes that we are here to fall in love with the world and appreciate it. And not the world for us, not an anthropomorphic world, but the world in itself. And I suppose we're numbing ourselves from doing that. We're all, because of greed, which is sort of underlying, like below money in capitalism is greed, and capitalism makes that into a virtue. And that's a Hillman quote. Yeah, so another one is that what we've lost is the beauty of the world, and we make up for it by trying to conquer it or own it, possess it. And he says economics is an insane faith. And that's also the fault of sustainability's fault. Well, it's an economic problem. So that's where sustainability becomes sort of difficult to get behind. Yeah, this fucking Hillman's awesome, man. And he says we have like a cult of innocence, and that's sort of America's denial. And mentions the Pandora's box myth as well, talking about hope, and hope taking you away from what is, and that in a sense is goes back to that point of living on the dawn of everything, like instead of focusing on what needs to happen now, and instead going to some further, living in some further expectation constantly, like nothing's ever enough. And we have this and back to the, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, but as I'm talking about it, I think certain things are like, I'm being reminded of certain things. Of another sort of aspect of youth that we maintain is this needing for new things. When you're in high school, you're like getting new stuff. You're getting new clothes, you're getting a new book bag. This constant neediness for the new, and there's always something new to have. I mean, need I? I mean, you know, it's like it's a shame, man, but it's the way it is right now. And I don't know. That was what was going on today. Dreaming in the Underworld, chapter on Psyche, was the last book I read. Sort of talking about Hades as a figurehead of the hidden. Super interesting. Even Pluto referring to the hidden wealth or riches of the invisible. What is the invisible, right? It's the things that aren't so apparent, going into things like the soul, which isn't thankfully like reintegrated into our sort of vocabulary, but it's still looked as an esoteric phenomenon that's because it doesn't like instrumental reason cannot grasp onto something like that. It's not supposedly real in the way that like this pen might be, or the length of a foot, or meter. And those are obviously in themselves measurements that we've made, but we don't need to go into that. Yeah, it's and then also the soul being sort of this endless labyrinth. I mean, spiral like labyrinth inward. That can never really fully be. There is no end. And then it goes into another idea of what Psyche knows bounds, which was tying back to his video. But yeah, man, it's all super interesting stuff. I really like this day, this Psyche day. I really like these writers. I like these thinkers. Kept it pretty short today, but that's all right. I feel like the depth was there, and I suppose that's what matters. And yeah, okay, we're at 21 minutes. I rambled a lot. There was meowing in the back. Okay, good day. I will catch you guys or myself, whether or not, or both, whether, I don't know if I'll post this. Probably, we'll see. I don't know. I feel like this was a pretty fun, ramble, but okay.